Hi, everybody, and welcome to our Catalan wine series. Today, we will explore the Malvasia de Sitges, the historic white grape variety originally from Greece and well established in the Catalonian coastal town of Sitges in the Penedès region. I am David Martin, and I am based at our WSET head office in London. My main role here is to support our approved program provider network in the EMEA region, in particular Spain, Portugal, and the UK. As many of you probably know, the Wine and Spirits Education Trust is the world's leading provider of qualifications in wine, spirits, sake, and beer. The WSET has over 50 years of experience in designing and delivering educations to help professionals and consumer enthusiasts to learn more about these products. You can take WSET qualifications in over 70 countries throughout the network of more than 700 course providers. If you're interested in finding out more about embarking on a WSET journey, visit wsetglobal.com. I would like to remind you that this webinar will be recorded and available to watch via the WSET Global Events Hub on YouTube. Please feel free to post your questions in the Q&A box, and we will try to cover as many as possible at the end of the session. This webinar is part of a longer educational collaboration with INCAVI, the Catalan Institute of Vine and Wine. Our wine expert today is Xavier Pacheco. Xavier was born in Sabadell, Barcelona, and after earning a degree in technical electronic engineering from the Universitat Politècnica de Catalunya, completed a postgraduate degree in business management from the Universitat Pompeu Fabra. However, the world of wine captivated him. His professional life changed when he started working at Bodegas Miguel Torres in the communication department, and subsequently at wineries such as Cavas Nadal, Cavas Agustí, Torrelló, Mata. He also worked at multinational spirit companies like Bacardi in distribution, at Vila Viniteca, and other wine shops in Barcelona such as Giovanni Vins. Parallel to his professional life, he obtained the title of sommelier at SET School in Barcelona, WSET Level 2 and 3 in wine at Outlook Wine in Barcelona as well, and later on the WSET Diploma at the WSET School in London. For over 50 years, he had been an instructor for the sommelier course at SET School, teaching wine and spirit classes, and since 2019, he has been an educator at the Wine Studio in Madrid, collaborating as a lecturer for the WSET qualifications. Xavier, thank you very much for joining us today.
So thank you very much for your introduction, David. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure for me, and I feel very happy and proud to participate in this webinar about Malvasia. First, I would like to thank the INCAVI team, to the new director, Joan Gené, the former director, Alba Basseig, Laia and Maria of the team, and also to the WSET school in London for this huge opportunity. Today, I also feel deeply honored to address a few words to put you on behalf of INCAVI, the Catalan Institute of Vine and Wine, on this very special occasion. Look, INCAVI would like to emphasize the profound importance of the alliance with the Wine Spirit Education Trust. It represents a fundamental milestone in our ongoing mission to promote and share the rich and diverse heritage of Catalan wines with an international audience. Because Catalonia is not just a geographical region, it's a vibrant core where history, culture, and innovation harmoniously converge. In Catalonia, we may be small in size, but our territory is surprisingly rich in diversity. An example of this is the 5 webinars we have already done on the Catalan wine with the WSET. Today, now the 6th about Malvasia. In this framework of wealth, diversity, and winemaking talent, INCAVI holds a unique and essential position in the world of viticulture. For decades, we have been custodians of tradition and innovation, diligently preserving all our wine heritage and promoting cutting-edge research. So after these words, I also want to send my most positive energy to the students of the different levels of the WSET program, and especially those in the diploma. So first, let me start talking about the points of the webinar. First, I will start talking about the origin and history of this old grape variety. Then we will focus on Malvasia de Sitges, our native Malvasia, that was in danger of disappearing, but has been recovered in the last decades. I will continue by talking about its profile in the vineyard and the wines that are produced with that grape. And finally, I would like to talk about its great adaptation to climate change and also about the present and future of the variety. So let's go, let's start. Maybe you're surprised with these pictures, but I propose you a journey through time. We get into our time machine and set the clock back 215 years, back to the year 1909. That year, we would see Napoleon making its way through Europe with the Napoleonic Wars. We would see the birth of illustrious people such as Charles Darwin or the future president of the United States, Abraham Lincoln. But maybe you're wondering, what does this year have to do with Malvasia? That is the answer. 1809 was the year in which the first Catalan wine label was created and printed, and it was a Malvasia wine from the Catalan town of Sitges. You read on the label in English, Malvasia from the house of Fals, from Sitges, from Catalonia, sold in Palma de Mallorca, Apuntadores Street. Read and said like that, it does not seem surprising. But the story behind this event is incredible. Why, when at that time all wine was sold in bulk, why was bottled and labeled several bottles of Malvasia wine? Why the origin of Sitges? Why did it leave Catalonia on its way to Mallorca, an island in the middle of the Mediterranean? Let me answer you later all to these questions. But let's go first to the origins, the beginnings of the Malvasia. Malvasia is evocative of ancient time and mystical sonority. Old wine trade could not be understood without this grape. It's a grape that originated in Greece, as David said, in the Peloponnese, but soon spread throughout the Mediterranean, because the origin of the word Malvasia derives from the town of Monemvasia, small town with one of the oldest Greek ports frequented in the trade voyages between East and West. This town was known for trading its sweet wines, but they reached their destination under the generic name of Malvasia or simply Greek wine. As early as the 13th century, many documents can be found with the date of production of sweet wines from this variety in the region around Monemvasia. Over time, the sailors who left that port not only traveled with wine in their hulls, but also took grafts of those vines to places where they traded with a similar climate. And to identify the new wines produced, once the vines were planted at their destination, the toponym of the place where they arrived was added, and this is why we have Malvasia from Lipari or Malvasia from Sardinia. But due to the conquest of Greece by the Ottoman Empire in the 16th century, with the destruction of many of its vineyards, Crete and later Italy replaced the main area of its cultivation in the Mediterranean area. Italian merchants continued to trade in these wines, which were already considered luxury by the best royal courts and upper social classes. As another evidence of historical importance of Malvasia wines, its sweet wines have been reflected in the literature of some of the most famous writers in history. For example, Shakespeare pays homage to Malvasia in Twelfth Night, and Thomas Mann has a bottle of Malvasia taken out of the cellar in his book Buddenbrooks. But it's also included in works of Leon Tolstoy, Jane Austen, Lord Byron, Charles Dickens, and here, written in Catalan in the 15th century, in the novel Knighthood, Tirant lo Blanc by Joanot Martorell. They were expensive wines, and such was the fame of Malvasia wines that it was more of a luxury product during the 18th century that began to be in demand of the European courts by monarchs, diplomats, and aristocrats. But where is Malvasia planted today? Malvasia is mainly planted in Europe, in countries such as Italy, Greece, of course, Portugal in Madeira, Croatia, Slovenia, Spain, in the Canary Islands, and of course, in Sitges, in Catalonia, with our Malvasia. But how many variants of Malvasia are there? There are an estimated 60 types of Malvasia in the world. But there are two groups, two profiles, the aromatic and the non-aromatic. Let us today now focus about the Malvasia and its synonymy in Spain. The Malvasia de Sitges belongs to the aromatic family. In the last decades, DNA studies have shown that Malvasia de Sitges is related to the Italian Malvasias of Lipari, Sardinia, as well as to the Candida Malvasia in Madeira. In Spain, it also can be found in La Palma and in a very minor form in some other islands of the Canary Islands and in Mallorca, with the Malvasia de Banyalbufar. However, the one cultivated in Lanzarote, Malvasia volcanica, is a cross between the Malvasia de Sitges and the local variety Marmajuelo. There are other varieties that are known by the same name, Malvasia in Spain, but they don't have nothing to do with this grape of marked and intense aromatic profile and high acidity. On the contrary, they are varieties with a much more neutral character, as in the case of Malvasia riojana, which correspond to the Alarige, or the Catalan Subiraparen, or our Macabeo. As we have said, the Malvasia de Sitges is named after the Malvasia vine plants, arrived through its port and was planted in Sitges, and its cultivation was perfectly adapted to the Mediterranean climate of the town. Malvasia de Sitges is considered an autochthonous and traditional variety in Catalonia. In its best times, it covered around 50 hectares, mainly in Sitges, where it occupied the places known as Aiguadols, the Gassons, and an area in Sitges called Santa Maria. But which is the origin of Malvasia, more specifically? There is a legend, a history. A long time ago, the first Malvasia vines arrived in Sitges from Greece by the hand of an Almogávar, a soldier, Jofre de las Escalas. This soldier fought in the city of Monemvasia, Greece, in the 14th century. He was wounded in a battle, but he healed his wounds with a Malvasia wine having medicinal and curative properties. From the moment Malvasia entered in Catalonia, it acclimatized and became a traditional variety and positioning Sitges on the map of Catalan exclusive and emblematic wines. In modern times, Malvasia de Sitges sweet wines were exported all over Europe and also to overseas colonies of Spain, especially in Cuba. But let's see more documentary evidence that vines and Malvasia plants and Malvasia wines have been present in Catalonia and Sitges for centuries. In the year, for example, some examples, in the year 1298, in the registry books of the port of Tarragona in the south of Catalonia, there is already a mention in written of a barrel containing wine, Greek wine or Malvasia. In 1326, there is a mention of a vineyard in Sitges where hunting was forbidden to anyone who was in the vineyard called Aiguadols. In 1400, in the Garraf area, we can read in a written document to press the Greek wine. Later, in 1481, the word Malvasia was written for the first time in a notarial document in Sitges. And finally, in 1597, it's written that the wines of Catalonia are the best in Spain, especially from Sitges, Malvasia from Sitges. But why were the Malvasia wines of Sitges so highly valued with an extraordinary fame? They were fragrant sweet wines available to very few people but rich. And it was because they had high production cost due to being a grape variety with low productivity, low yields, sensitive to diseases, and with high harvesting cost. Look, the grape harvest was very slow, hard, and costly. You can see in the pictures and in the painting, the grapes mature slowly, and the woman who harvested the grapes had to sit on chairs and select one by one the right berries because sweet wines were made. The vigorous plants were trellised with river canes, and they were one of the first vines to do so, when at that time it was normal to have goblet vines. The wines were the most expensive in many shops. Here you can see in an old advertisement in Barcelona that it was the most expensive bottle. And now that we talk about selling, buying a wine, let's back to our secret Malvasia label. Let's see the secret, what's behind that story. Remember, this label was placed in a bottle of wine in Catalonia in 1809, when wine, remember, was sold in bulk in barrels at that time. The story behind this label begins with when Ramon de Dalmau y Fals, a wealthy man who lived in Sitges, inherited from his brother Josep the family wine estate of Can Fals that was producing Malvasia de Sitges. Shortly after assuming the legacy, Ramon de Maldau left with his family to Mallorca and took some bottles of Malvasia wine that were in his cellar at his home in Sitges, and brought the bottles to be sold in Palma de Mallorca with him. And to guarantee that they were authentic bottles, he printed the bottles, corked them, to be sure that that was his wine produced in Sitges, not fake bottles. So that is another evidence of the prestige and fame that this wine had in the 19th century. So until today, it's the oldest wine label in Catalonia and is a Malvasia from Sitges. Now let me explain you a really important key moment, historical moment that saved the Malvasia de Sitges, wines and vines. This man on the picture is Manuel Llopis de Casadas, a lover of Malvasia de Sitges. And he was also a member of a wealthy Sitges family and died without descendants, leaving a large fortune. But before he died, he had the vision of the possible disappearance of the variety because of urban growth in Sitges, competition with other beverages, a variety that was not very productive. So that is why he left part of his inheritance to the Hospital San Joan Bautista in Sitges. He left his vineyards in Sitges with the last vines planted of Malvasia and his winery, Xavier Llopis, which produce wines with Malvasia. In this way, the hospital, which has now been an old people home since the 70s, continues the legacy of Manuel Llopis by producing Malvasia de Sitges wine. As a curious note, in order for the hospital not to lose the inheritance of Manuel Llopis, the hospital must deliver 24 bottles of Malvasia every year to his descendants for life. So now there are only 2 vineyards in Sitges of Malvasia. There are many more in Catalonia, but now only 2 in Sitges. As an example, at the beginning of the 18th century, there were 300 hectares of vines in Sitges, of which 90 were Malvasia. Now we have only 2. The photo above is Aguadols, a vineyard that belonged to Manuel Llopis. It's located in the eastern part of Sitges and right in front of the sea. Here we find, which is certainly the cradle of all the Malvasia that are planted today throughout Catalonia. And it's just 100 meters, as you can see in the picture, in front of the Mediterranean Sea. There is also a vineyard next to the hospital and can be considered one of the few existing urban vineyards in our territory. It's a 5-minute walk from the center of Sitges. You can come and visit both. And as a final point, with the history of the variety, so prestigious were the wines produced in Sitges with the Malvasia that the Spanish government, when creating the designations of origin law in 1932, included Dio Malvasia de Sitges. But unfortunately, it not become a reality due to the arrival of the Spanish Civil War in 1936. And nowadays, the wines produced in Sitges are mostly made under the Penedès Dio. So let's see now the situation of the Malvasia in Sitges in Catalonia now. Nowadays, in Catalonia, according to our recent centenary vineyards research, there are 391 vineyards, old vineyards, all around the territory. To say that these vineyards are 80 years old. So with a surface of 180,000 hectares, but only of these 180,000 hectares, only 0.6 hectares are Malvasia de Sitges. So as you can see, it's not a variety of which burial vines are preserved. The effect of powdery mildew in 1855 and 1865, to which Malvasia de Sitges is very sensitive, caused the surface to decrease a lot. Later, in 1890, the phylloxera affected all the vineyards and forced grafting onto American vines at a time of scarcity, which led to preference for more productive and resistant varieties such as Sumoin, Charello, or Muscat. Another factor, as we already mentioned, was the high price of Malvasia Sitges due to its limited production and its elaboration, which require much labor and therefore more expensive cost. And also, other fake sweet wines were sold as Malvasia de Sitges, which confused consumers. So all of this is fundamental to understand the tremendous work that has been done in the last 30 years. Look, in the year 2000, due to this loss of production and vineyard planting, there were only 10 hectares planted with Malvasia de Sitges in the Garraf area, only 10 hectares. But thanks to several winemakers led by Enric Bartra of the winery Celler Vega de Ribas, who believed strong in the variety, he grafted Malvasia in his family vineyards to study it and start a huge recovery, because now, look, now there are 47 wineries producing wines, and now we have 130 hectares of Malvasia de Sitges. And these wineries, 75% of these wineries are mostly located in the Penedès area, in the Garraf and Baix Penedès sub-areas, near the sea, which is, without any doubt, the ideal conditions for its cultivation. So that's why we say that it's a recovered grape variety. Malvasia is a vigorous variety, normally has a rootstock R110. It has low fertility in the basal buds, so therefore long pruning is recommended. The leaf is heart-shaped, as you can see in the picture, and the bunches of grapes are elongated up to 30 centimeters with the berries separated. It has a long vegetative cycle with medium budding and late ripening. It's not very productive, as I said, with a medium to low yield of about 2 kilos per plant, and adapts very well to draw with the results of the last year's harvest. And it's very sensitive, as we said, to powdery mildew, but it's quite resistant to rot. The grapes achieve high sugar concentrations, up to 13–15% ABV, while maintaining important high acidity and low pH. So for all this reason, it has a really good aging potential. These characteristics, due to the fact that it's a variety that does not suffer in times of drought, make it perfect adapted to climate change. Depending on the time of the harvest, the wines differ in aromas and taste. So it's a very versatile variety for all types of wines. Dry, sweet, sparkling wines are produced. And the wines tend to oxidize easily, and the evolution tends towards golden colors, but they maintain a certain terpenic aroma, both young and aged. And on the palate, believe me, if you have not tasted, it has a really good volume. This, you can see the aromatic profile of Malvasia de Sitges. It has a marked floral, fruity notes. This is, by the way, this is the chemical result of a research of various molecules in the study carried out in the last 25 years with young and skin contact Malvasia. So aromas such as white flowers, citrus fruits such as orange, stone fruits, peach, tropical, and spices stand out. All this profile makes it a fragrant grape, very terpenic, which together with a palate with a medium body and a very pleasant acidity, often ends up with an intense and balanced finish. And look, as a test of aging capacity and potential of dry Malvasia wines, an experiment was carried out in Sitges 2 years ago. 504 bottles of dry white 2021 Malvasia de Sitges were submerged in the waters of the port of Sitges in Aiguadols to study the evolution of the wine's profile under the water. A few bottles were extracted 6 months later, and finally, the remaining 465 bottles were extracted in April 2023. And believe me, the result of the aromatic and taste profile of the wine was pleasantly surprising. The wine still had its aromatic potential, its persistence, with a backbone of acidity that give that tension. Also, in this particular case, the underwater aging increased and enhanced the mineral and sapid character of the wine. The bottles were enjoyed as a part of an touristic activity in the Centre d'Interpretació de la Malvasia de Sitges. And what is that place? The Centre d'Interpretació de la Malvasia de Sitges is a unique space. It's in the heart of Sitges. I recommend you to visit it because since it puts in value the history, and the curiosities of the grape in Catalonia. Because I want to insist that because it's one of the oldest variety to be documented in Catalonia, even before the other one, Xarel·lo, Macabeu, the Malvasia de Sitges give us stories that inspire, make us travel, and are a luxury for the mind and of course the palate. It was inaugurated in April 2019. It's a wine tourism and experimental space of the hospital winery, by the way, and helps to spread the knowledge and heritage value of the vineyards and the Malvasia de Sitges wines. It's located in a Corral de la Villa, a livestock building from the 18th century. And one of the ideas it wants to transmit clearly is that Malvasia de Sitges is more than just a sweet wine. One of the main activities organized every year by the Centre d'Interpretació is the Malvasia de Sitges Week. This year's it will be held from Tuesday 29th October to the following Saturday, 16th of November. It's already the 10th edition, and in reality, it's almost 3 weeks where different activities such as tasting, food pairings, and talks will be held to continue giving value to the most deeply rooted grape variety and identity of this beautiful coastal town. This edition celebrates the 700th anniversary of the founding of the Sitges Hospital, one of the oldest institutions in Catalonia, because Malvasia and Sitges have lived parallel paths during these 700 years, and the historical roots have been a key point for the rebirth of this traditional variety. And to finish this webinar, let me talk just a few words about the Malvasia the Myth project. This is an European project which aims to present and enhance the cultural heritage of wines made from Malvasia. It wants to create network of contact between Malvasia wines of the Mediterranean and now only including regions from Greece, Croatia, and Italy. A few months ago, a delegation from INCAVI visited the Canary Islands to generate synergies between these two regions to evaluate the value and possibility of joining the second phase of the project in the future as an opportunity to strengthen a grape variety that is part of Catalonia heritage. And as I always say, if you want to learn and have more information about all Catalan wine regions, you can visit the website catalanwines.com on INCAVI. And let me finish by saying thanks to Alba Gracia and Enric Bartra for its generosity helping me to prepare this presentation. Thank you for all following me this webinar, and I look forward to see you in Catalonia, of course, with a glass of Malvasia de Sitges wine. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Xavier. That was very, very interesting. Really, I really enjoyed your presentation. I have a few questions. I think I'm going to have to do only 2 or 3 because we are already out of time. But I think there was a lot of interest in your presentation. So Cynthia was asking, what are the soil types in Sitges?
The soil type, well, this is yes, the such Sitges is in the Garraf. It's like a kind of, it's a macizo, it's a masses, it's really high and it's really granitic, and it's a special soil that also it's improving the character of the wines. And I recommend you to visit because when you travel around, you understand more how the soil, how the terroir affects to the Sitges or to the grapes, the wines. But it's a really granitic wine, soil, sorry.
Fantastic. Cynthia, everybody else, you need to go to Sitges soon.
Yes, yes.
And yeah. She was also asking, comparing with the Malvasia, you mentioned there were 2 different categories for Malvasia, aromatic and non-aromatic. So what is typically found in the different regions in Italy?
It has this profile. I mean, because the story behind that is that in some parts of the world, because Malvasia wines were really famous, some grapes took the name of Malvasia, but genetically it doesn't have to do anything to do with this grape. For example, the Malvasia Riojana is an example. So the characteristics of the Italian Malvasia is like the Italian, Malvasia Sitges, aromatic profile, flowery, fruity, high acidity. So this is the main characteristics. Of course, they can have some differences, but this is the main characteristics of the aromatic. Because look, I said there are more than 60 types of Malvasia.
Fantastic. And the last question, as we are running out of time, and I think this question many people had it in mind. I had it in mind by Andrew. Is there any Malvasia de Mar left, or was it all
Oh,
dry?
yeah.
Where can we get it? And also he says, are they planning to make more?
Yeah, I don't know. You just have to come to Centro de Interpretación de Sitges and Alba, the manager the director, can offer you. I don't know. I've been told that maybe they are not, but maybe they are going to think because the result of the experiment was amazing.
Fantastic. I think
So
we
just
need to
come to
go.
Sitges and try and ask Alba.
Yeah, we'll do. So again, thank you very much for the presentation. I think it's been fantastic, very, very interesting. So thank you everyone for watching. And now please complete the feedback poll, which you've got now on your screen. The recording of the session will be emailed to everyone, as well as being available to watch on the WSET Events Hub on YouTube, where you can catch up with all our previous events. To find more and to sign up for our wine, beer, spirits, and sake qualifications, visit our Where to Study page at wctglobal.com. Thank you very much and have a good day.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.